Chung. I'm the Vice Chairman of PolyU DBA Alumni Association. It is my pleasure to be a moderator for this webinar. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Welcome to our webinar today, which is organized by the Doctor of Business Administration and Doctor of FinTech programs of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Co-organizer is the PolyU DBA Alumni Association Limited, DBAAA. Supporting organization is the Hong Kong Independent Non-Executive Director Association, Hong Kong INED. Since April this year, DBA and DFinTech programs are organizing a series of webinars. The first webinar, Digital Transformation in Hong Kong Conventional Business, was held on April 14, 2 months ago. The second webinar, Smart City, was held on June 16 last month. A high enrollment rate was recorded in last two events. Today, we are pleased to have the event on Reindustrialization. It will be addressed by two scholar leaders, Dr. Gabriel Leung and Dr. Raymond Wong, nurtured by DBA program, which is the first in-town DBA program in Hong Kong. They are renowned scholar leaders and speakers to share us about reindustrialization from different perspectives. We hope you will get some insights and invaluable takeaway today. To begin today's event, we are pleased to have Professor Wilson Tong, Program Director of Dr. DBA, to deliver the opening remarks. He will give us the class information of DBA and DFinTech programs. Professor Wilson Tong, please.
Thank you, Derek. So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this webinar of the PolyU DBA and Doctor of FinTech programs. I'm Wilson Tong, Director of both programs. This is the third in the series of webinars addressed by scholar leaders, that is, graduates of our DBA program. PolyU DBA is the first professional and academic doctorate in business and management in the region launched by a local institution in 1996. It helps senior executives and professionals develop into scholar leaders by connecting theory and research to practice. Up till now, the program has graduated over 500 DBAs. Now, this DBA features an interdisciplinary approach and an international dimension. It draws on the expertise of various PolyU departments in addition to overseas partners. To know more about the program, scan this QR code or get in touch with us. We have a quote of intake numbers, so I encourage you to apply as early as possible. Now, based on this DBA expertise, PolyU offers a pioneering doctorate in financial technology. PolyU's Doctor of FinTech helps students understand technological change and leverage innovations and transform themselves into scholar leaders in finance and the digital economy. To know more about the program, scan this QR code or contact us directly. Again, please submit your application once you have decided, as the intake numbers are limited. Now, senior management people and entrepreneurs take the DBA and DFinTech programs to become scholar leaders who bring theory and research to the corporate world. They also share their insights and experience with different sectors through a number of channels, including forums and seminars. In today's webinar, two of our scholar leaders will discuss the theme of reindustrialization. Now I will pass to Derek to introduce the speakers. So Derek, please.
Thank you, Professor Tong. Our first speaker is Dr. Gabriel Leung. Dr. Leung is the Managing Director of HP Hong Kong and Macau, responsible for overseeing the company's business strategy and operation in these markets. With more than 30 years of experience in the information and communications technology, ICT industry, Dr. Leung is keen on driving the development of local ICT industry, as well as coaching and nurturing local IT talent. The topic of Dr. Gabriel Leung is digital transformation with digital resilience. We are pleased to have Dr. Leung to give us his sharing.
Thank you, Derek. Can the audience see my screen now?
Very good.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
So thank you, Professor Tong. Thank you, Dr. Jung, for the introduction. Maybe before we start, let me a little bit to explain some of my background first, even though Derek has already have some brief introduction of myself. So I got my first degree in UK with the discipline of electronic electrical engineering about more than 30 years ago. Then I got my DBA from the Poly University. So that is briefly my academic background. So I've been working in the industry for over 30 years with the engineering background. So the organizer remind me that do not use a lot of technical jargon today. So before I do that, I would like to have this very busy slide to define the two jargon. The first jargon is digital transformation, and the second one is digital resilience. So can you read that? The digital transformation is the process of using digital technology to create new or modify existing business process, culture, and customer experience to meet changing business and market requirements. So that is the definition of digital transformation, because in different industry they have different interpretation. But however, they have crisis. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's why we need more than digital transformation. So we need digital resilience. So the definition of digital resilience, meaning when you look at the third paragraph of this slide, is the organization need to be well placed in terms of the process, the people, as well as the other technology, etc., in order to stay competitiveness. Because sometimes when like a pendulum, when they swing too far, when they are implying too much, innovation, they may expose the risk to organization. But on the other hand, you're going to lose your competitiveness. So that is a balance in between. So today, during my 20 or 25 minutes presentation, I only have 20 slides. Hopefully I can finish within 1 minute per slide. So I'm going to explain in a layman terms of how digital transformation could be done together with the digital resilience so that the organization or the company can stay competitive. Okay. I want to take out this. Okay. So the pace of the world is changing faster than ever we imagined, especially the pandemic in the world. So from the survey, it's saying that 82% of the companies still planning, work from home or remote office will be the new normal. And on the other hand, the IoT, the mobile device, etc., are very well pretty much connected. By next year, over 55 billions of devices will be connected worldwide. Just imagine the smart city, the IoT, the industrial IoT, etc. They are, overwhelming. And on the other hand, also, people are expecting the real-time response on everything because of the 5G, because of the, IPv6, etc., because of the fast broadband network, so that people will expect everything will be connected, everything will be at real-time without any delay. That implies to what? In order to achieve that, people will develop new applications. When you look at your mobile phone, I think there's a survey telling that for the normal adult, not mentioned about the kids, we have 83, up to 83 apps being installed in your mobile phone. So the apps will generate data. The data will track your location. And the data, when do some more analysis, they will give you a lot of benefit. So that is the paradigm shift of everything. The apps and data are everywhere. The new solution, the new platform, the new technology, we're going to accelerate, the IT capability, for the new normal. So from the IT perspective, how are we going to cope with that? And there is a two major area, the IT, the CIO, the Chief Information Officer or Technology Officer, uh, having day in and day out focus in. First of all, on the left-hand side is how to modernize the IT, how to make better use of the new technology, how to make better use, of the application, how to run your IT operation in more effective manner with agility, and how to do more innovation. And also, we heard about the jargon called cloud. So now they're putting things in the public area, public network, through the broadband internet. So you don't need to operate your IT in-house or in the data center. You just plug in electricity socket, and you will get your IT resources from the cloud service provider. So on the right-hand side is how IT is going to be consumed. So some of you, if you're in our industry, you heard about the IT as a service. That's mean what? So pay as you go. Is on demand. Just like you need electricity, but you're not going to buy the generator at home. You just subscribe from the electricity company, the CLP or Hong Kong Electrics, so that you can get the electricity supply, through a centralized manner. And on the other hand, you need to pay, in different time zone. Hong Kong, I know Hong Kong right now, they're going to have the smart metering. So going to charge, different electricity unit per hour in different time zone, etc. And also, the IT people, wake up in the morning, cannot sleep at night, is because they might afraid the IT operation will go down. So they need somebody to run it in a very secure manner. And also they need to simplify the operation, because especially in Hong Kong, in the last 3 to 6 months, there's a lot of people migrate out from Hong Kong, and the IT industry is one of the industry that hurt hard, because a lot of my staff, a lot of my colleagues, they left. So that left, the IT operation in a very disrupted situation. Okay, so that is the situation. But of course, we have challenge. This transformation will have a lot of challenges. When you look at these three areas, edge, cloud, and data, there is a lot of data will be generated at the edge. Edge meaning what? When you look around in your office or from at home, the surveillance camera is edge. The IoT is edge. The smart lamp pole is edge. They collect data. They generate data, and according to the survey from Gartner, that 50%, half of the data right now are created at the edge level through the 55 billion devices connected. Just imagine, it's a massive scale of data right now is being connected or being generated at the edge level, the cloud. But however, only a very small amount of this data are being utilized or being stored or being optimized at the cloud level. Because of what? Because maybe if the bank, they need to follow the compliance. They cannot put the data offshore or outside their own premises. The survey is telling us that 70% of these enterprise data or application are still cannot be stored at the cloud or public cloud. For the data, you see a lot of vertical lines, the blue vertical line meaning the silo. they cannot talk to each other because they have different standard, they have different security, they have different compliance regulation need to follow. If the data cannot talk to each other, that means you cannot make the full use of your repository in order to generate, the outcome that, the enterprise would require for. So these are the challenges. So that's my topic. In order to cope with these challenges, in order to cope with this, regulation or the future changes, we need to create an environment. We need to do the transformation with the resilience. With the resilience from the angle, from edge, from data, from cloud. So right now I talk about the edge-centric because more than half of the data or action are being happen at the edge layer. The data, a lot of people saying that data is the new oil, is the new currency. Whoever that can make better use of their own data, they will create a lot of value to the industry or to their company. And cloud enable. So I'm going to go through it one by one. I'm going to give some example how we can implement, the IT transformation through these three areas. First of all, edge first. What is edge-centric? From the edge, you need to take into consideration that there is a three major elements that we need to consider. First of all, edge is not just connectivity. We can make use of the edge and create the experience that will make you make your company more competitive and create a different experience to your clients. I'm going to go through it later one by one. On the second hand, we need to have a very 380-degree dimension of connectivity. You need to connect to everything and let them talk and let them communicate. Okay. So the challenge for edge is how we can bring the experience through the edge, to your customer. So I'm going to give you one example in here. So that is one of the example. When we have the experience to go to the shopping mall or the casino in Macau, etc. When you switch on your mobile phone, the SMS or messages or WhatsApp, WeChat will come out. They seem to know your location. They seem to understand you very well, etc., etc. That is scary, isn't it? Because of what? Because you're exposed. When you turn on your mobile phone, the Wi-Fi or even your 5G or 4G network will tell the base station where you are, your location. They can be down to a cell level meaning within a meter. So that when you walk from shop to shop, they know you go from the Louis Vuitton shop to the Chanel shop. They know your appetite. They know your wife like Chanel. Then they pop up Chanel. They will never show up LV in the Chanel. So that is a location-based kind of tracking mechanism that based on the edge. So, but on the other hand, we need to be very secure, because once your data being leaked out or once your privacy being infringed, you will turn off the apps and say goodbye to them forever. So secure edge is very important. Then moving to the right hand side, you collect the data, but you don't understand what's happened. So you feed the data back to the data center at the cloud level, do the analysis, understand the customer much better, then send them a message, feed them through the internet, through the 5G network, in order to impress your client, in order to make them have a good experience. So with that, then people will do more business. I have some data to share. They said 80% of them, when they use this application, their business improve, etc. But this number doesn't mean anything. At least, you will have a good experience if the shopping mall or if the airport will have a very good interconnectivity with the edge experience that you are encountering. Shift to the industry. there is an oil platform, oil drilling platform at the North Sea. And sometime in the tough environment in the remote area, you need to make decision. You need to, shift your strategy or control the machine, 300 miles from this oil drilling platform. So the edge device, we're going to collect data, do the analysis. They make the decision on site. They don't need to, feed the information back to the head base station back to London, for example. But they will make decision on the spot right out there, because I'm going to talk about this later, because of the AI, because of the machine learning. You collect data, the edge computing is going to, do the instant response, or they're going to, make the decision on behalf of you because of the intelligence they has already embedded in there. And analysis, etc. Similar manner as the shopping mall experience. So this edge computing or these edge devices, could be utilized, not just in the shopping mall, but in anywhere. Data. Data is important. Data is a new oil, So for the data-driven situation, we need to consider three major elements. The first one is, yes, you get the data, but so what? So you need to make them more intelligent, give them the AI, artificial intelligence, do more analysis, get and gain the insights, or suggest the action of what next. And then you need to unify the data, because you have to collect data from different occasion, from different devices, different format, and make them talk to each other, understand each other language, so that they can be embedded together and drive the outcome collectively. And of course, because of different format, the security is very important. Either there is data is from the IoT, or the data is from your mobile device, from your surveillance camera, from your traditional IT server. They got to be very secure and resilience. So the challenge is capturing data and its value is very challenging. They have different format. And also some of the noise data, I would say on the left-hand side, is unnecessary data. You got to collect some data that is not useful. Those are the noise. You got to protect, data at different level. The hacker is not just going to hack your IT data center. They're going to hack your device. They're going to hack your surveillance camera. So that will be a loophole for them to, plant their virus in there and attack your central computer. So edge security is very, very important. There is a situation a couple of months ago, or no, more than a couple of months, 6 months ago. The pipe, just the gas pipe in California was hacked. So that would create a very dangerous situation. Just imagine, there's explosion, they leak out the natural gas, and when some terrorists set the fire, that is, it's horrible. So IoT security is very important. And also how you're going to make better use of this data. There's 4 steps. The first step is to see, analyze, predict, and enlighten. So you need to see the data, you need to collect the data, you need to have a very effective methodology to inject the data in a secure manner from different format. So that is a technology that we need to do this. When you inject the data, what we call big data, right? When you get the big data, you got to analyze it. So AI, big data are, brothers, they come hand in hand. So you got to analyze the data. You need to explore, the element. You need to teach them how to do the analysis, set the algorithm. The data scientists will help us to do this. And then when you get the outcome, you need to make better use of the data. You need to make use of the data for your decision making. And also you need to use the data to come up with the next generation of smarter algorithm, so that your AI program, your AI algorithm will get smarter and smarter every day. So that is a cycle. It is a cycle that you need to do it day in and day out without stopping and generating more insight, throughout the journey. So this one is talking about, when you go to the AI and data analytics, first of all, you have to ask yourself, what's your application? You use it for what? You use it for the prediction of the weather forecast. You use it for the prediction of the stock market, or use it for to analyze whether there's the lung cancer disease in the human body, etc. So those are the data that you can make use of, and make use of the algorithm and the domain knowledge, so that you can predict, you can diagnose something in a more accurate manner, and then evolve. Machine learning cannot be done within a day. Machine learning is ongoing training. You train your machine so that they can be smarter every day. You can adjust or amend your algorithm in order to have a most accurate prediction. The anti-money laundering, for example, the prediction, I talked to one of my friends, he's also an alumni of DBA. He's the CIO in the bank. So it's the first algorithm that he developed, or his team developed, to predict the anti-money laundering is around 75%. But after 6 months of continued trial, continuous machine learning, they could be up to 99.6. So the machine gets smarter every day by this algorithm. And then you need to experience that. You need to experience, you need to test it, you need to put it in the sandbox, you need to put it in the test machine, so that in order to prove that it works. The last column is cloud enable. What does cloud means? People talk about cloud. Cloud is in the sky. You're right. Cloud is in the sky. But some of the situation I just mentioned before, the banks, for example, some of the data cannot put in the cloud because of the compliance. So we got to go to hybrid, on-prem and off-prem. You need to go up to the sky and down to the earth. So how to make better use of technology in order to make the hybrid cloud more effective? That is the number one concern of CIO. And the second one is how to modernize the IT. On my first slide, I mentioned, 70 or 80% of the current application are not cloud ready. They cannot put up to the cloud. So that now the CIO is, injecting a lot of budget and effort to modernize their traditional application, in order they can talk to the cloud, in order they can be, do the data exchange with the cloud. So it's a very important element in the transformation journey, is the modernization of the application. Last but not least is how to accelerate the development of application. So when I get out from job, from school about more than 30 years ago, the development take years. And now when you look at what everybody have iPhone or your mobile phone, the developer will ask you to update your application almost twice every week or every month. Because of what I'm going to tell you later, because of the bugs, because of the improvement, etc. So back to the central data center. The data center manager or the CIO headache are this: how I could manage the multi-cloud, different cloud, hybrid, or different supplier for cloud, the Google, the Microsoft, the Amazon, etc. They supply you cloud, but how they can talk to each other. There's a lot of open source. Open source meaning the license don't need money to buy, but the development costs you a lot of money. That is open source, right? So data explosion. 55 billion devices are connected together and they collect data. And this data are with different format. You know, their video, they are this voice, and also they have different format, machine character, etc. Cloud migration, you know, how to accelerate the apps development. Shadow IT is a good name, is a good acronym for me to explain. You know, now you heard about the jargon called bring your own device. So that creates a lot of headache to the CIO, because bring your own device means they cannot set the standard. They don't know how to protect the security, the company intellectual property, or they don't know how to provide you, you know, the deep dive level of secure application to your device. So shadow IT create a lot of problem to the CIO. Shadow IT meaning non-standard IT, but you get to embrace them. Aging IT system. You know, there's a lot of company that's still using application, not hardware, application that they've been using for over 30 years. They lost the source code, the mission critical. No one dare to touch them. You know, no one dare to going to amend them, because once they broke, the entire company cannot be operated. And also there's, because of different devices, different edge, cloud, etc. So the attack services now is being increased or exposed. So the hacker will hack your IoT device, will hack your home surveillance camera, then they implant the bugs in there, because all these devices are being connected. Then they can pass the germ to your central devices. So this is the headache for the CIO. So how to cope with that? So first of all, you need to create a cloud-like experience at the centralized computing organization level. So some of the audience may have experience to use cloud, public cloud especially. It is very simple to deploy. You just use your iPhone and click on a few click, then you can use your VMware. You can use a lot of application, and they will send you the bill. So we need to create this kind of manner to the traditional IT people, that IT deployment got to be automated, need to be programmable. Programmable mean what? In a program, for example, in a program, you don't need to use a single device. For this certain kind of instruction, you can program the application and let them use some other supercomputer in order to calculate the formula and send back the result and continue your program. And last but not least is consumable, pay as you go. So no one will buy generator at home anymore, meaning no one will buy computer for their own use. They will subscribe in the future. So this is the new development discipline. On the left-hand side is the one that I've been using for over 30 years. So they update the application twice a year, but now they update twice a week. So there is an acronym called CDCI, Continuous Deliver, Continuous Innovate. Meaning they send out, they launch their service, today, but they continuously develop or improve the function features over time and do the bug fix over time. So these are the new discipline for the current or for the modern program developer. So this is my second last line ready. So after all this, edge, cloud or data centric. So last, you need to consume. How we're going to run it. So for the current IT trend is pay as you go. You don't need to buy upfront. And on the other end, on your terms, tailor to fit your needs. So I remember, again, 25 years ago, when the user, go and consult the in-house IT staff, the answer to them was no. The salespeople want to get a report away for 3 days. So those days were gone. So no one will accept this kind of service level anymore. So it got to be custom made in order to fit the end user requirement. End user means the ultimate user. End user doesn't mean IT people. So, and then when you need it, you could, just like electricity, when you want, electricity, you plug your jack into the wall and you get it. So that is the consumption models mean. So the last line is, how to make it happen. To summarize, you got to make better use of the technology. You got to be very open, don't be locked in to one single vendor, so that they will, charge you whatever price they would like. So you got to be very open source, etc., cloud-based, you name it. Skip the middle one, the people first, and economics, pay as you go, consumption model, etc. So now go back to the people. So from my experience, I work in, work together with a lot of my customer, for the digital transformation. People make a difference. You got to talk to the right people. You got to, make sure the right people buy in the digital transformation. Got to be at a very high level, or people with open mindset. Don't talk to the people that are going to retire, because they will say, wait until I retire, then I do the digital transformation. So thank you very much. That concludes my presentation, and I will leave the Q&A at the end. Thank you. I pass mic to Derek.
Thank you, Dr. Leung, for giving us inspiring sharing. As said, if any audience has questions, please send a note to me. After the presentation of all speakers, we will have a Q&A section. All right. All right. Our next speaker is Dr. Raymond Wong. Dr. Wong is a member of American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, CPA, Chartered Global Management Accountant, CGMA, a Certified Management Accountant, CMA, and holds a certificate in Financial Management, CFM. Dr. Wong holds a bachelor degree in chemical engineering and a master's degree in economics and doctorate degree in business administration. I apologize that I forget to introduce Dr. Leung's academic background. That's why this time I introduce Dr. Raymond Wong's academic background. All right. Dr. Wong is an executive director and deputy chairman of Raymond Industrial Limited, a company listed on the main board of the stock exchange. Dr. Wong is an independent non-executive director of numerous listed companies. All right, Dr. Wong is also the vice president and council member of Hong Kong Independent Non-Executive Director Association and independent manager in TWG Tonghua Wong Fung Nam College. Okay, the topic of Dr. Wong is innovated in Hong Kong, made in China. Let me repeat, innovated in Hong Kong, made in China. We are pleased to have Dr. Wong to give us his sharing. Dr. Wong, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chung, for your introduction. And it's always challenging to talk after Dr. Gabriel Leung, on the topic of innovation and also on, digital transformation. So today I'm going to share some case study story, following what Dr. Gabriel Leung, explained, the different tools, we can use in digital transformation. I'm going to talk about how we are going to apply them, in innovation. that there's always a slogan, you know, in the manufacturing sector in Hong Kong about reindustrialization. Okay, they always say that, you know, low tech, low yeah, high, not low, high tech, high yeah. That means, you know, high tech always like bring bad luck, you know, to the industry, and low tech always bring good fortune to the industry. So since, you know, the Hong Kong government is promoting the Greater Bay Area, so I would like to show, you know, a couple examples, you know, that you know, luckily, you know, was a success story to share. And so I'm going to change, you know, the high tech, high yeah, low tech, low yeah to, you know, high tech, low yeah. That means, you know, if we innovate in Hong Kong, then we can manufacture cheaply, you know, in the Greater Bay Area in China, and then we can always, you know, have high tech innovation and also like bring like good fortune, you know, to the manufacturer and all the people who can engage in, you know, like mass production in the Greater Bay Area. Okay, so why, you know, I always believe in innovation in Hong Kong rather than, you know, in China is because, you know, it is not, you know, advantageous, you know, to move, you know, manufacturing to Hong Kong anymore, because since August 12, 2020, you know, there's no more made in Hong Kong export to the US, and, you know, everything that manufactured in Hong Kong will be labeled made in China. So I personally do not see any advantage to, you know, set up a smart factory manufacturing and call myself, you know, a pioneer in Industry 4.0 in Hong Kong, because I don't see any advantage, you know, to even make some money, you know, if I set up a factory in Hong Kong. So why, you know, we, you know, decide to innovate, you know, in Hong Kong instead of China? Because first of all, you know, Hong Kong has many universities such as PolyU, you know, that equipped with, you know, a lot of sophisticated equipment to do like big data analytics, you know, cloud computing and simulation. And also, you know, Hong Kong, you know, is a melting pot, you know, with people from all parts of the world. So we have like domain expertise, you know, from around the world, like AI programming, you know, we can always like work with company from India, and, you know, we can always like, you know, work with other software engineers, you know, from Taiwan, you know. So Hong Kong really has the advantage, you know, to do R&D innovation. And then Hong Kong also have a very sophisticated legal system that can protect the intellectual property rights compared to China. So one of the topic that I'm going to share is, you know, how to make like rotary shaver cutter, you know, with precision electrochemical manufacturing. So 7 years ago, you know, I was fortunate enough to have, you know, 11 friends. We call ourselves like Ocean 11s, and we put together, you know, some money and set up a startup company, and then we purchased a secondhand PECM machine from Europe, you know. And after that, I visited, you know, 2 companies, one in the Netherlands, you know, called DFinTech, and another one called EMAG in Germany. So when I was excited, you know, to approach the Innovation and Technology Commission in Hong Kong and told them that I could build a machine that is probably like 1/20th of the cost in Europe, you know, they looked at me and said, you know, why are you so excited, you know, about copying someone's technology? So I have to mention that copying the machine itself is very simple, the hardware, but copying the software part of a machine is never easy. And that's why, you know, China has experienced, you know, a lot of difficulty in making, you know, some high-end chips, and you know, and also, you know, some breakthrough in the high-end technology and innovations. So in order to achieve, you know, innovation in high technology, let me talk about deep reinforcement learning in R&D. Okay, so basically, what deep reinforcement learning in R&D is about blending deep learning and artificial intelligence. When we are doing programming and try and errors. Okay, let me show you this thing. There's a rotary shaver you can buy in the market. But what's so special about the cutter itself is when you go to Fortress or Broadway or go to other online store, you could see that there are only a few brands in the world who specialize in making rotary shavers, such as like Philips, maybe Remington, and also some of the so-called not all brand in China, such as Flyco and others. So 7 years ago, my friend and I, we looked at the rotary cutter, and then we searched through the Big Blue patent search, and we find out that one funny thing is Philips, their rotary cutter is moving anti-clockwise, but all the other brands, they're moving clockwise. So by circumventing the patents, we start looking at making some rotary cutter like that move clockwise. And later on, we learn from the try and error that because in order to have a good and comfortable shave, the cutter cannot be too blunt, it cannot be too sharp to cut your face, so it has to be just right. So that involves a lot of try and error in programming the machine so that it can make a shaver that can shave smoothly and comfortably. Okay, so let's take a look at the knock-off schematic of the machine. Knocking off someone's machine, taking them apart, re-engineer and put them apart is simple. We can just create a flow diagram and then we buy the hardware and put them together. But in order to make a cutter that will be just right and not cutting your face, but also is sharp enough to cut your beers, you need AI, cloud computing, big data analytic, and then collect a lot of clean data in your simulation in order to make a good cutter. Okay, so let's go to a video that demonstrates how we blend the high technology and low technology together in our manufacturing process. Okay, in 2017, we successfully made some rotary cutters, and then we helped one of the US brand called Remington to sell rotary shaver in China. And luckily, he caught the eyes of the chairman of Xiaomi, Mr. Li Jin. So he sent his staff to talk to us. And then since 2018, we started making rotary cutter and rotary shavers for Xiaomi. So as of last year, we built about 1.5 million units of rotary shaver for Xiaomi each year. So this is one of the example that, doing the innovation in Hong Kong and then do the manufacturing in China can lead to a big success, okay? And also, the whole project involved not only copying the hardware, but it also involved like doing big data analytic, cloud computing, and simulation using digital transformation tools, okay? So this is, I'm going to show the promotional video that is made by Xiaomi. Now the technology look a lot more high-tech in the second video compared to the first, okay? Okay, so let me share the next example, okay? How we utilize like cloud computing, AI, and big data analytics, in our innovation effort, that we did in Hong Kong, okay? So the second device, that we adopt that kind of like methodology is what we call EVQ Sense, like indoor air quality remote sensing device. I think a few months ago, you remember that, at K11, one of the restaurants was blamed not meeting, 6 times air exchange rate, and they were kicked out by the K11 museum management. And since then, my partner, Dr. Anthony Law, and I, and a team of, domain expertise, we start, working with the restaurant industry, to see how we can help them improve the indoor air quality, and also, to, implement, some like air purification system, in the restaurant, so that we can minimize the risk of the coronavirus, pandemic spreading out. So we have all walks of life, from different domain expertise. I am a manufacturer. Dr. Anthony Law from PolyU, he is, what we so-called, a air quality expert, and Dr. Kevin Chan, also a PolyU, D management graduate. He is an expert, in interior decoration, and also, so he also gave us a lot of advices, how we can integrate, the indoor air quality devices, that will blend into the indoor decorations. And also Dr. William Yu, is heading, some of the environmental group, in Hong Kong. So we also know, how we are going to satisfy, the need, from the environmental groups in Hong Kong when we are optimizing this device. You can see that, we have also, gained exposure all the way to Korea, with a Korea media, reporting, how we cooperate with a Korean brand and then implement, the indoor air quality system, in the restaurant and also in households. We are also working with PolyU building department, to discuss about how to implement this, in shopping malls, in other institutions, and also in labs and school, etc. So basically, like Dr. Gabriel Leung explained, in order to do the deep reinforcement learning in R&D work and innovation, there are two ways only, with real data through simulation, okay? So the IAQ devices, we collect the data, from some of the restaurant, that we install the devices. So we could, collect the real data daily and also, put them through, a cloud server and then do the cloud computing to do, the necessary simulation. Okay, so the key to have a successful innovation is the data must be collected and cleaned, and the simulation must be built and validated. Okay. So basically, you may ask, most of the sensor, that measure, indoor air quality, they are very expensive, to achieve the required sensitivity and the required, measuring accuracy. So most of the sensor, that used in such IAQ devices, that we use in the lab, they usually price, from about 150,000 Hong Kong dollars to maybe $1 million Hong Kong dollars. Okay. So how do we overcome, using expensive sensors, but also delivering, good, indoor air quality measurement? Okay. So we adopt the same methodology as people use the cell phone to take pictures. Okay. So when the mobile phone manufacturer, when they develop a new model, okay, it's very difficult to use a very expensive Leica camera lens or, and put them into a cell phone. So during the development process, what they do is they have a very expensive camera on one side, and then they have a cell phone on the other side, okay? And they collect the data and they do the simulation so they can use a lesser grade camera lens, with algorithm and with the software programming, some smart programming, they can compensate for the defects in the lens to achieve the same kind of resolution and that you take with a very expensive Leica camera. So basically we do the same thing. Okay, we use very expensive measuring device in a lab, and then at the same time we use a cheaper sensor in our devices, and then through numerous simulation, maybe collecting data over a year or two, then we can converge all the data of the two systems. So by using big data analytics, we can use cheaper sensors but still achieve the same measuring accuracy as the device that use very expensive sensors. Okay, it's just like when you take some picture, there's a lot of apps and software that you use in your cell phone that can beautify your profile, your face, when you take the picture. A lot of ladies, they take the picture and then they use the apps and they become models and they become Miss Hong Kong. Okay, so we're using the same kind of methodology in our R&D development So we use a cheaper sensor, but then through the software and apps, we beautify the data, and then we can give you the same accuracy, with a cheaper sensing system. Okay, so because of the time, I'm just going through, the slide quickly, about some of the methodology that we use. Basically we have inputs, from occupants, we have algorithm, we have data update, from air conditioning system, we have data update, from the ventilation system, and then we collect all this data, and then we do simulation, and then we can have very accurate sensing devices using like cheaper sensors, okay? And some of the interface, you could see that, is exactly what Dr. Gabriel Leung mentioned, in his presentation. We have like mobile application, using Android, mobile phones, and then we can have interface that, can collect the data, using our devices, and then we can have, the guests also, seeing, the data, that they need, and then we can measure, the temperature, the PM 2.5, PM 10, humidity, temperature, and other, the CO2 concentration, and then we can use the algorithm to calculate, what's the optimal airflow rate, and also the air exchange rate in the restaurant, in school, in hotels, in shopping mall. And then, this way, we can help, control the pandemic. So we have real-time monitoring mode, that you can see, the indoor air quality, at a specific time. Or we can have the historical mode. You can check, what is the indoor air quality yesterday, the day before yesterday, the month. If there is an outbreak, okay, then you can trace back, to the date, that the outbreak happened, and then you can check, the where we can change the airflow, air exchange rate profile, to minimize the pandemic in the future, okay. So just to summarize, some key takeaway from my presentation today, why we are doing innovation in Hong Kong is because we have access to a lot of the database, overseas, and then we can do a lot of big data analytics, cloud computing, and simulations. And also Hong Kong has a lot of different professional and expert in robotics, automation, software engineering, domain expertise, such as like indoor decoration and, also environmental groups, etc. And then they can help, give us input, to optimize the innovation and the design. And then Hong Kong also has a very good legal system, that can protect the intellectual property rights. And just in my humble opinion, I always feel that, the Hong Kong limited land supply can be better utilized for other more value-added usage to increase the GDP of Hong Kong. So it's not necessary for the sake of reindustrialization to move the factory in Hong Kong and then use those limited land supply to build a big factory in Hong Kong. I think reindustrialization can add more value if we have the manufacturing process in the Greater Bay Area, but we do the innovation in Hong Kong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wong, for giving us such excellent presentation and impressed video. Again, his topic is Innovated in Hong Kong, Made in China. Perhaps his closing on his presentation can let us understand why this topic is. Okay, if any audience has questions, again, please send me a note. And thanks for our distinguished alumni for give us such excellent sharing. It is time to open the floor to questions. All right, let me take a look to some questions raised by audience. Okay. Okay, the first question is to Dr. Leung. Okay. Dr. Leung, the question is, what is the true benefit of consumption IT model? How to achieve cost saving and some other benefit? May I have Dr. Leung, Gabriel, to answer this question?
Okay, thank you for the question. So the question is how to get the best benefit from consumption IT, right?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I would say there's a lot of wastage when you own or operate your own device or your own IT environment. Because when you look at your iPhone, so you get an iPhone 10 or whatever. When you change to the iPhone 11, I tell you, most of my friends, and including myself, only half of the storage has been used. I bought a 256 gig iPhone when by the time I changed my new one, I only use less than 100. So that's mean the wastage. 150 gig of memory will never been used before. So I would say the first answer to this question is we will eliminate the wastage, because the cloud IT, the cloud data center, they have the critical mass so that they can share multiple tenancy, so that the equipment will be fully utilized. So first of all is the wastage elimination, and second is expertise, because in the consumer IT, the service operator, they do have expert. So yeah, for the big company, yes, they may have expert in-house, but I can guarantee that they will not have everything, every expertise. So they will be able to provide specialties, especially the security to the consumer IT. That is a second benefit, meaning expertise, security, operation, efficiency. And last but not least, this is a new one, particularly that happened in Hong Kong, is sustainability. Because in my presentation, when I talk to a lot of my friends or some of my clients, that the migration is very serious in Hong Kong, and people move out from Hong Kong. They cannot find employees, find good people to operate the IT. So the sustainability, when they move the IT to consumption model, will be the true benefit. So that is the major benefit, I think. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Leung. And we have a question to Dr. Wong. Okay. I think he is a good listener. Okay. The question is, if the PECM machine built in Hong Kong only costs 1/20 of similar machine built in Europe, why your company did not build and sell the machines, instead by only for in-house usage? Dr. Wong, please.
Okay, Dr. Chung, you always ask me tough questions. Okay, but to answer your question, why we only use them to build like in-house. Okay, is because as I mentioned, although we can copy, and also we can use our algorithm to build a machine that's 1/20 of the cost. Okay, but why people now still buy the equipments from the Netherlands, including the high-end chips, etc., and not buying from Taiwan or from China, is because they are still in the business for one reason: the machine has much faster speed to make cutters, and also they have higher production efficiency. Okay, even though they are more expensive. Okay. But one of the disadvantage of using such a machine is they make the cutter so fast that if you want to create a new cutter for your customers, then it is very, very hard, to do the try and error and to do the adjustment. Okay, so that you can not make it too sharp, not make it too blunt, but just right. Okay, so with a slower machine, you can always do the try and error optimization easier compared to a super fast machine that make cutters, that make chips, and that make other manufacturing parts. Okay, so my answer to your question is that, even though, we have a good machine, but, when people who invest, to buy something, to mass produce something, okay, they will calculate the return on investment. They will also look at the history of the company demand of the machine, okay? Our startup only has probably like 6 or 7 years history. When we try to sell a machine to someone and they said, how is your company? I said, 6 or 7 years. How many people? And I said, well, maybe less than 20 people. They do not have the confidence to buy from us, okay? So that the answer, why we are not building more, and we try to create a market, for the machine itself, okay? Because it's very, very hard to get into that particular market, okay? So, and I'm not an expert, in selling machines, okay? So I think I am a manufacturer, I'm an industrialist, so I better spend my time creating something, that you can use in your daily life. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think just right, as you said, just right. All right. The next question is, okay, to Dr. Leung. Well, what is the most critical factor to achieve digital transformation with digital resilience? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Derek. I think the people, process, and technology and economics, are always, a headache for this transformation. But amongst all these 4 elements, I will pick people, because right now we have the right technology, and the technology is very open and very inexpensive, so that it is not a critical concern of most of the company. The process, etc., is not an issue. Economics, yes, pay as you go. There's a lot of companies are offering this kind of services in the market already. But I pick people is because people do create a lot of problem sometimes. So we need to make sure, when they implement the digital transformation, they make sure there's a policy from top down. Education in different areas important. And deployment of human resources in-house is very important, because people may be afraid they will lose a job for the automation or reindustrialization. That's a key topic. There's a survey saying that a lot of the job will be eliminated through this industrialization. I tell you, including the lawyer, including the accountant, including the business finance people, the iBanker, what we say, the iBanker, there's no longer exists now. Now the AI, can predict the stock markets up and down much better than Uncle Six, Luk Sok, right? So, so AI did replace a lot of jobs. So the people is very critical in this transformation. It got to be top down, got to be very transparent, and with the right education. Right.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Leung. So we won't be scary. Okay. Well, the next
educator will stay the job. Education is important. No worries, Professor.
Okay.
Totally agree. I'm with you.
Dr. Derek Chung, can I can resist to jump into to make
Yes,
a few
please.
comments, right?
Yes, please, Professor Tong.
Let me take this opportunity to really thank Dr. Gabriel Leung and Dr. Raymond Wong for the very insightful, informative presentations. And actually, Dr. Raymond Wong, when he answering Derek's question, that inspired me too. He said, I'm not a big salesman, but I'd rather do innovation, right? So I believe our Poly-UTB program is exactly of this kind of mindset. We are educators, right? Dr. Gabriel Leung talk about education important. But we are educators. We are not salesmen. Right? We may not be good at marketing and sales, but by the mere fact that we have graduates like Dr. Gabriel Leung, Dr. Raymond Wong, including Dr. Derek Chung yourself, Right. So remember, you guys are all at DBA graduates, but end up, right? So you guys move, always advance yourself, and then make innovations, make reindustrialization possible, make Hong Kong economic development possible. Why? Because when you talk about all this here, we are actually talking about digital transformation, right? You are talking about big data, we are talking about analytics, AI, all these things, how to implement into this era of trying to industrialize Hong Kong, right? And that's why our DBA program is just try to bring ideas, cutting edge type of research to the class, and you guys make it so good to transform this type of in-class knowledge into practice, into the industry, to advance to the next level. And in fact, that's also thanks to you guys that inspire us to develop the Doctor of FinTech program. That we think that indeed we are entering the digital transformation era that may as well really focus on this part. But let me say it again, this based on you guys' presentation, I have good confidence that our DBA program actually, even though sounds like a very generic type of a BA program, but through you people, that you can transform the classroom knowledge perspective into practice, into real life industry. That's exactly the purpose of our program, for you guys to become scholar leaders. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you for
the comment. Okay. Well, actually, we have a few questions and we are running out of time. But I do think Dr. Raymond Wong love challenge also. I pick the toughest question to you, okay? But you have a limitation. You need to simplify your answer as much as possible. Okay. The question is, if IAQ monitoring device can help monitor indoor air quality to minimize the risk COVID outbreak, why restaurants owners still reluctant to install such new innovations? Why I pick this tough question? I think COVID-19 hit us hardly, okay, particularly F&B. So I really want you to address this question. Ron, please.
Okay, Dr. Chung, thank you. Okay, I think, you know, one of the toughest things to sell a indoor air quality monitoring device is to convince the owner that once they purchase this, you know, then they can sleep, you know, peacefully and not worrying about, you know, another outbreak in their restaurants. So when I approach, you know, a lot of the restaurant owner and tell them, you know, the advantage of, you know, installing, you know, a IAQ device, their response is, if I buy your device, does it mean that, you know, I don't have to worry about, you know, the government coming to my restaurant, shut down my restaurant, or I don't have to worry my customers not contracting COVID? And then I couldn't give them an answer. And then they look at me, pausing for 5 seconds, and then they said politely and said, let me think about it. And then after that, there was no follow-up. So I think one of the problem of selling a indoor air quality device is you cannot see the results. It's very difficult to see results. Even, you know, if you look at the air itself, you know, in your room right now, you're sitting right now, Derek, you know, can you tell me, you know, what's the CO2 level, you know, at your room? If I give you a monitoring device and you can see a number, can you translate to whether it's good air quality, bad air quality, or whether you will survive or you will die? So it is very difficult, you know, to sell this kind of concept. It's easier for us to sell to institutions, you know, like maybe hospitals or maybe labs, you know, that they have, you know, measuring devices, you know, they can quantify, you know, the air quality, and also they maybe have a need, you know, to have a clean room, you know, so that they know that the air quality is being controlled. But if you go to a cha chan tang and then you tell the owner and say, well, you have this advantage, and then suddenly you have 50 customers rushing into the restaurant, and then they look at me and say, Raymond, can you tell me that what's the air exchange rate now? Is that 6 times, 5 times, or 4 times? Even I could not answer. And then they will ask, if I have 100 more people coming to my cha chan tang, will your device help me to control the pandemic? Again, I cannot answer. So it's a very tough device to both innovate and also to sell. But as scholar leaders, a DBA graduates, we are always pioneer in our industry. So we always create something that before the market exists. Okay, so I always believe the market will be there one day, but maybe I just move a little bit too fast, too soon.
That's what we mean by pioneers, right? So you come first, and then you bring up the wave, right? So you bring up followers, right? That.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for accepting this tough question. All right.
Thank you.
All right. We are close to the end of today's event. Taking this opportunity, I would like to remind that Scholar Leaders Webinar event is organized by Doctor of Business Administration and Doctor of FinTech programs of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Co-organizer is the PolyU DBA Alumni Associate Limited. Supporting organizer is the Hong Kong Independent Non-Executive Director Association, Hong Kong NED. Okay, if you want to understand more about the program, okay, you are advised to scan this QR code, okay, to go respective website. Then you will be able to understand more about the FinTech program. Okay, apart from the program details, our upcoming webinar is why PolyU DBA in this challenging era. We have the sharing from, we will have a sharing from industrial group. Okay, it will be held on August 7th, Saturday. Okay, we will invite our renowned DBA alumni as speakers to give us their sharing of why and how PolyU DBA does help non-DBA degree holders in this challenging era. You and your friends can't afford to miss this webinar. Please, therefore, register now and please scan the QR code or go to the website for detailed information and registration. Okay, I would like to close my remarks and officially announce the end of today's event, Reindustrialization. Thank you for your time and attention today. Hope to see you in our coming webinar, Why PolyU DBA in this challenging era, very soon. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.